Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İrlanda'nın dünyanın ise 101. en iyi üniversitesi Trinity College Dublin'de eğitim ve kariyer fırsatlarını Antonio, Kelly ve Desmond'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Antonio, the stage is yours now.
Many thanks, Zeynep. Marhaba to everybody. It's a pleasure to be, even virtually, today again in Turkey. My name is Antonio de Linares, and I work in the Global Relations Office in Trinity College, Dublin. And we have the privilege today to have our School of Law to present all the amazing LLM programs that we offer in Trinity, and programs that we have been offering for more than 200 years. But before anything else, I would like to play a short video so you get a feeling about what kind of institution Trinity is, and also about Dublin, which is the capital of Ireland, where Trinity is at the very heart.
On the western edge of Europe lies a modern capital city, and in the beating heart of this city is Ireland's highest-ranking university, Trinity College Dublin. Trinity is a modern, living, breathing campus, pulsing with people, energy and ideas. It's made an indelible mark on Ireland and the world for more than 4 centuries, but its 21st century incarnation has its focus firmly fixed on the future. Today, Trinity's campus is Ireland's largest research centre, a place where leading experts from the humanities, the sciences, and medicine are creating research that matters and then turning that research into impact. Thousands of new students pass through Trinity's gates for the very first time every September. They join a community of 3,000 staff, 17,000 students, and alumni more than 130,000 strong. A community that is inclusive and welcoming and active in every corner of the globe. A community that will bring out the best in each student and help those students to make their way in life. Our students are all different, but they share one characteristic. They have never been content to accept life as they find it. They agitate. They innovate. They build new worlds. Perhaps this is why Trinity has produced 1/5 of all Irish spin-outs, more entrepreneurs than any other university in Europe, and more than half of all the Nobel laureates from the Republic of Ireland. Perhaps this is why Trinity collaborates so well with the Irish and multinational companies that make Dublin their home. Perhaps this is why Trinity has changed with every generation, and why Trinity never sits still. Perhaps this is why one of the world's great cities is home to one of the world's great universities. Trinity College, Dublin.
So if you haven't been in Ireland, I hope that presentation helped you to figure out how Dublin looks like, and particularly Trinity College. Today, in that presentation, you are going to learn everything about the School of Law. But first of all, I have to say that in my job, what I do is to help students to come to Trinity in all the MENA region, in North Africa, in the Gulf, in the Middle East, and definitely in Turkey. And Turkey is one of the places that I'm really happy to come, not just because I love the country, but also because of all the opportunity for Turkish students, not just to study, but to develop a career. We are talking that Ireland has become, in the last 25 years, what they call the Silicon Valley of Europe. That means that most of the major multinationals in the IT sector, pharmaceutical industry, banking services, they have the headquarters for Europe in Ireland. And many of them, not only for Europe, but also for Turkey as well. There are many Turkish people working in Ireland. And if you obviously come to Ireland and study in Trinity, which is the top university in Ireland and one of the top universities in the world, that opportunities definitely increase. And on top of that, it's very important to consider that Irish people has a reputation for being very friendly. This reputation is also reflected in the law as well. So if you study your LLM, you study a master's in Ireland, in Trinity, you get a 2 years stay-back visa to look for a job. So you study law in Trinity, you will have 2 years to look for a job in many of these multinationals that most of them, they have legal departments indeed. So there is huge opportunities for jobs there. And now, without further ado, let's go to the first slide. I think, Kelly, do you have the presentation? The first slide, actually, and we'll move very quickly to the next one. This is the agenda for today. First of all, I will tell you a little bit about the Llm Ip scholarship and the links with the School of Law and with Trinity College. Then we will have an introduction to the School of Law and an introduction to the LLM programs and the MSc in Law and Finance by Professor Desmond Ryan, who is the director of all the Trinity LLM programs. And finally, we will have a Q&A section. I have to say that with us today as well is Kelly McBee. Kelly is the coordinator of all the LLM programs. So the three of us will be here for you to answer any questions that you may have at the end of the presentation. So you feel free to put in the chat box any of the questions that you have. Some of them will reply on the spot, and some others we will have a final chat. As I say, the first item of our agenda is about the Llm Ip. I'm pretty sure that many of you are very familiar with that fantastic opportunity that opens the door for many Turkish students to study in Europe a master's for a year. And they cover the fees up to 20,000 euros. They cover your expenses as well. And usually it's around 165 Turkish students that they benefit from that scholarship. In Trinity, we are very lucky, and in the last intake before COVID, we were the second university in Europe to welcome Llm Ip students. We actually, only Trinity, have as many Turkish students as most of the UK. So only one university we have as many as the whole UK. So it's extremely popular for Turkish students. And within the Llm Ip scholars, many of them, they come to Trinity to study law. Because of this long relation, we have decided this particular year to collaborate with the Llm Ip to make sure that they can grow the number of scholarships. And how we are doing it? So we are doing it by topping up the scholarship from Llm Ip for 5 students for law programs. And how that impact for you as a student. So if you're a Llm Ip student, you are covered for the fees for 20,000 euros. The fees in Trinity, they are mainly over this 20,000. So to make sure that you don't have to put any money from your pocket, we cover that difference. And we also give a little bit more money to Llm Ip to make sure that they can keep going and growing with this fantastic program. So as you've seen, to benefit from that, you have to be both an offer holder of Trinity and one of the LLA programs, and you need to be an offer holder of the Llm Ip. The scholarship will be awarded to the first 5 Llm Ip scholars. So obviously, all of you have to be great if you already have been approved by Llm Ip and by Trinity. So the most objective criteria is the quickest ones of you will be ready to get this scholarship on top of the Llm Ip. And I will be your main contact point. So you can see my mail there. You can take a picture and keep in touch with me anytime to submit your application and also to learn a little bit more about this opportunity. You also have the link in Trinity, where you can, our website, where you can read more about what this scholarship involves. And now let's go to the meaty part of this presentation. We are very lucky to have today with us Professor Desmond Ryan, that is the director of all the LLA programs, and he will guide you through all the opportunities that you can take in Trinity to study a postgraduate program in law. Professor Desmond Ryan, many thanks, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Antonio. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and you're very welcome. As Antonio has said, I am the director of the LLM programs here at Trinity, and I'm going to speak to you, first of all, about the law school, and then in some detail about the different programs that you may wish to apply to. The Trinity College Law School is a wonderful place to study and to work. We are one of Europe's oldest and leading law schools, the highest ranked law school in Ireland, with a long and proud tradition dating back to 1592. But even though we are 429 years old, we're also a place of innovation and dynamism. We have a strong network of alumni across the globe, and our student body is truly international. Our rankings speak for themselves in terms of the university rankings across various metrics and various subject rankings, and some of those are listed on that first slide. So to say a little more then about what goes on in the school, obviously teaching and research are absolutely crucial to our central activities. In our teaching and our research, we engage in national and international collaborations of research, which of course then feed into the classes and the modules that we can offer on our LLM programs. Our faculty publish texts and articles with the leading press houses across the world, and these are frequently cited and referred to by courts and by other scholars internationally. We also have a number of specialised research groups in the school, and these really run the whole range from areas of constitutional law and social change to corporate governance, technology, financial and company law, to human rights, to areas of private law in terms of tort law, contracts, etc., as well as a strong and increasing focus on new areas such as data protection, fintech, and so on. We are the home to a number of leading centres and research clusters, such as the Trinity Centre for Constitutional Law and Governance, the COVID-19 Law and Human Rights Observatory. A number of colleagues work on a ERC, European Research Council funded project to do with the rule of law and prisons and accountability. We also host a leading centre for European law and leading publications, including the peer-reviewed international Dublin University Law Journal and the Irish Supreme Court Review. So there is, to say the least, a lot going on. In terms of the school itself, we're very proud of a number of distinctions and accolades in recent years. And one prominent example is the award of the Athena Swan Bronze Award last September. This is an internationally recognised benchmark for gender equality in universities and colleges, and indeed goes to cover all grounds of diversity and inclusiveness. And I would say that the Trinity College Law School is a very diverse and inclusive community that is based on mutual respect. And our culturally diverse and dynamic faculty and student body is drawn from over 30 countries. And that's one of the elements of life here, which is so enriching because of the range of perspectives, from a student perspective, the different friendships and collegiate working relationships that you can form as students, bringing all of your different perspectives and backgrounds to the study of law. The law school itself prides itself on our close relationship with our students. This is a friendly law school where professors typically know their students by their first names in many cases. Our small class sizes at the LLM levels in particular facilitates this. In terms of our community, we have approximately 800 undergraduate students and approximately 160 postgraduate taught students across our 5 LLM programs. In addition, there's a vibrant community of postgraduate research students, normally pursuing doctorate programs, and their work can also be of interest and significance for LLM students as well. In terms of societies and student activity, we really are second to none. Here in Trinity, we have a huge range of very distinguished and thriving student societies. And these include from a law perspective, the Dublin University Law Society, the European Law Students Association, Free Legal Advice Centre, which is an opportunity for students to volunteer and gain understanding as to practical advice that's relevant to the areas of your study. There's also an annual flagship event, a law student colloquium, which is a student-led seminar conference style event, which allows students, including LLM students, to showcase their research and to develop those all-important skills of networking, conference organization, and presentation of your work, as well as a very highly regarded Trinity College Law Review, internationally available on online databases, and again, the source there for much student publication of law review articles. So again, there's a huge range of student societies and activities here in the law school. I'd now like to turn to identify for you our postgraduate taught programs. And as I mentioned earlier, there are 5 of these. There is our general LLM, which I'll say a bit more about in a moment. And then we have 3 different specialist strand LLMs. That's International and Comparative Law, International and European Business Law, and International Property and Information Technology Law, IP and IT for short. Finally, we offer, in conjunction with the Trinity Business School, an MSc in Law and Finance. The question for you is, which of these programs is right for you? And let me say a little bit more about each of those to help you make that decision. I'll turn first to the LLM program generally. And much of what I'm going to say about this program will also be applicable to the other strands, and I'll explain where the differences arise. So the first thing to note is that this is a full-time academic program of 1 academic year in duration. Students on the program take 3 modules in each of 2 semesters. So that's a total of 6 modules throughout your studies of 60 credits. And there is a fantastic range of subjects open to you as an LLM student. We offer over 40 taught modules. These are taught both by full-time members of the faculty and also by expert adjunct professors, many of whom are leading practitioners, whether it's as solicitors or barristers, practicing lawyers at the coalface, who bring to their classes the professional experience they have in their daily life, which they can share with students. And this is an invaluable asset that we have here in Trinity because of our very long-standing and loyal alumni, many of whom are the leading practitioners in these areas. And of course, we're also situated right in the heart of Dublin, very close to the courts and the Parliament. The other main feature of the LLM curriculum is a research dissertation. And this is a really standout feature of this program, which many students have identified as one of the most important ways for students to develop as graduate law students. What this involves is you working within a small group of approximately, say, 10 or 12 students on a similar theme, a particular area of the law, for example, criminal law, commercial law, intellectual property, for example. And within that broad theme, you choose your own independent dissertation, a detailed research paper which you prepare and submit. And this, of course, gives a fantastic autonomy to you as a student to produce a piece of cutting-edge legal research that is very much your own and that you can demonstrate as, you know, fulfilling a number of key graduate learning attributes like independent research and writing, the responsibility for quality assuring a sophisticated piece of work, and so on. So the students, as I said, choose a thematic dissertation group based on the research direction that the research dissertation that you wish to pursue. And these groups develop research and writing skills, presentation skills, and peer-to-peer review and learning capabilities. And as you'll appreciate, these are all very important skills for employers and for the modern workplace. So on the LLM General then, it's our flagship program. The substantial list of modules covers a whole range of areas of the law. And I would suggest that this is the perfect program for you if you want to pursue graduate studies in law, but you're not necessarily wanting to be overly specialized. You would like to keep your options open while still having a leading LLM from a top law school. And this enables you to broaden and deepen your knowledge of the law, whilst also within that general program, should you wish, being able to focus on a particular topic that you are particularly interested in. So even though it is a general program, within that you can of course select modules which may enable you to develop a particular area of specialism. Turning then to the different strands of the LLMs. The first of these strands is the LLM in International and Comparative Law. And this program really is for students who wish to develop an in-depth understanding of law in a global and international context. Comparative legal research, which is so important now, is a key feature of this program and will of course equip you for working or further studying in our changing social, cultural and international environment. And some of the diverse modules taught here are international humanitarian law, Islamic law and finance, and business and human rights. So you've got a huge range of tailored modules here taught by leading experts and practitioners in the field. The second strand is the LLM in International and European Business Law. And this program is designed for graduates who want to work in international commercial law firms or legal practice across the globe primarily, although of course there are other options as well. Here, students will develop skills to critically analyze the relationship between law and social change within international and business law. And the type of focused modules here include corporate governance, international economic and trade law, and mergers and acquisitions. So a very clear practical focus from a business law perspective evident in those modules. The final LLM, before I come to the MSc, is the LLM IP and IT. As you can imagine, always extremely popular. This program covers the substantive policy and practical elements of intellectual property and information technology law within both European and international contexts. And here, as Antonia mentioned at the start of today's session, here in Dublin, where Trinity College is situated, right beside, the big international tech corporation premises, the headquarters, Google, Facebook, so on, there's an extremely good synergy between what you're learning in this environment of the LLM and the immediate hinterland of the law school here. And some of those specialized modules on this strand include data protection, the regulation of cyber speech and cyber security, and copyright and patent law. So to turn then to some LLM internships and prizes, there are a number of traineeships, internships and prizes linked to our LLM programs. And these, of course, are very sought after and very highly regarded. And there's a Pan-European SEAL professional traineeship program, which provides paid intellectual property law traineeships. And there are aviation law internships, with Dublin, of course, being a real aviation hub. And there's also the possibility of the publication of coursework on the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland website, as well, of course, as many opportunities which can arise in any given year. Careers is, of course, an important consideration for graduate law students. And here in Trinity, we have a dedicated careers advisory service, which provides a wide range of resources to help you make informed choices about your future career direction. And some of the facilities that students can avail of here include one-to-one meetings with a careers consultant, interview clinics, CV preparation clinics, seminars and workshops, and various employer presentations. And we're very conscious of the appropriateness and importance of career assistance in Trinity. Just to give you a flavour of some of the widely held career paths that LLM graduates have gone on to pursue after studying with us. I'm delighted as an academic to see the first one on the list here is academia, but of course there are many others as well. Aviation, banking, legal practice, of course, in many of the different strands that the LLM caters for, working as a legal researcher, legal policy analyst, and many other examples, as you'll see there. So really, there is a huge range open to LLM graduates. That's really because the programs are so highly regarded. In terms of then the admissions requirements, if you're thinking of putting in an application, some advice. Applications are invited from well-qualified graduates who hold a very good honours bachelor's degree in law or in a law-based interdisciplinary programme. And if your programme is one that has a significant law component to it, but may have other dimensions as well, that's something which can be considered by the assessment committee. This is the starting point for admissions. There is a deadline of the 31st of May of 2021, but I would note that early application is encouraged. So please don't leave it until the last minute to avoid disappointment. And I've given you a link there to further details and a list of frequently asked questions for your reference. I'll now turn to the last of our programs, not in fact an LLM program, but very related. It's a special, relatively new hybrid program between the law school and the Trinity Business School. It's our MSc in Law and Finance, which was launched in 2019 and has been hugely popular and in demand. This is a program which is aimed at law graduates working in corporate law, corporate finance, funds, securities and financial regulation, and those seeking careers in those areas. The mix of the two areas of the law and finance is, of course, that sweet spot for those with this particular career interest. The structure of the programme, in the same way that I mentioned about the LLMs, that there's the mandatory modules, here you have mandatory modules of 30 credits and elective modules of 30 credits. And then you have a research dissertation, which can be in law or in finance. So again, the dissertation is a core feature of this program too. The mandatory modules allow students to master the fundamentals of law and finance. So the idea here is that there are some modules that are so essential to understanding that overlap between the two subjects that they require to be studied. But then, of course, students also have a lot of choice, and it's in the elective modules that can be exercised. So to give you an example of some of the mandatory modules, you'll see those just on the list there. They're business ethics, corporate finance, and EU financial services law, amongst others. And then to move to the elective modules, and again, I'll just mention a few of these. Business and human rights will be very much a growth area, international aviation law, mergers and acquisitions, international finance, amongst many others on the list. So you can see these are very sophisticated modules suitable for a graduate program in law and very much tailored to this particular MSc combination. Again, in terms of scholarship opportunities, we're delighted to offer two MSc Law and Finance scholarships for the forthcoming academic year. These involve a €5,000 contribution towards tuition fees, and they're awarded on academic merit, with application guidelines and the application form available on the School of Law website. In terms of careers that will follow from the MSc, our graduates follow a wide variety of career paths. And again, some sample career destinations here can again involve pursuing a PhD and going into academia, but also working in the context of capital markets, company secretarial work, law firm, corporate law, strategy and business development, governance and investment. So areas that you would predict would be likely pathways from the MSc have already come to fruition, even in the short time that the programme has been in being. Again, in terms of admissions for this programme, admissions are invited from graduates holding an undergraduate honours bachelor's degree of a 2-1 grade or higher in law, business or economics. And this is the starting point for the admissions to the programme, which is highly subscribed. Again, the application deadline is the same. That's the 31st of May of this year. But again, your early application is recommended. I think it's always good to hear from students, and I'd like to cite the words of the Zamanı scholar from the last academic year, Ibrahim Bayes-Sayar. Ibrahim was a student on the Llm Ip and IT law programme, and he said, and I quote, "It's no exaggeration to say that it was the best experience of my life when I learned from the top professors in their respective fields. It increased my competency of law, developed my advocacy and English language skills, and attended various conferences, workshops and seminars." And Ibrahim says that he was part of a welcoming international community. He attended numerous events of college societies, from hiking trips to heated debates, and made friends and colleagues for a lifetime. And it's nice to hear Ibrahim say that Trinity College Dublin is not just a college where he obtained his LLM degree, but was also a milestone for his life. In terms of contact details, all queries can be addressed to my colleague, Kelly McCabe, who's joining us, of course, on today's meeting. And you have Kelly's contact details there on the slide as well. So I would just like to thank you for your attention and your interest in these programs. It's been my pleasure to walk you through the headline points in relation to them, and I'll be delighted now with my colleagues to address any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Professor Desmond Ryan. That was a fantastic introduction to the School of Law. There have been some questions, but they have been already replied in the chat. But if any of you have any question, please do it now before you leave. Although I understand that there is a process. There is quite a lot of information today already that you have to process, and when you have to make a decision that is exciting but also challenging, question will come along from the next few weeks, months, or if you're planning to apply in a couple of years' time to study your master's, will be farther away. So make sure that you got the contacts that we post there. I will put them again in the chat so you can keep in touch with us anytime. But before finishing, something that I would want to underline, that for me as a foreigner, when I went to Ireland to study, was very, very striking, and definitely in Trinity you can see that all the time, is how actually the professors of Trinity, how warm and welcoming are, in the sense that, and accessible as well. So there are in some countries, and I include actually my own country, that the relationship with academics can be very hierarchical, so they are not very accessible all the time. And this is something that is striking me, having in Trinity professor with a fantastic career, really well known in their field, not only in Europe but around the world, and however how willing they are to engage with individual students. Professor Desmond, how it works actually in terms of all the LLM programs, the breakdown between classes that you have for like a big lecture rooms or small groups? How are the courses carried out? So do they have the student the opportunity to have one-to-ones with the professors? So how is the structure?
Thank you, Antonio, and thank you for your kind words about the faculty here. I'm delighted to say that I do agree, and it has been my experience as well over the years here, that there is a very positive and strong relationship between faculty and students, and faculty want to be accessible and open to students. In terms of how we achieve that in our class structures, one of the benefits of the LLM is because we offer such a range of modules, in excess of 40 elective modules, we can have a situation, depending on the student numbers enrolling in a particular module, where you can have small numbers in many of the modules. That could be, 10 students or possibly even fewer in some modules. And that, of course, lends itself to a very close working relationship that builds up between the professors and the students, where there is frequent discussion, debate, and the students really come to know their professors, and the professors in turn know the students, and therefore can write references for the students, can guide them with difficulties they're having, and so on. That having been said, many of the modules, as you can appreciate, are also very much in demand. So I mentioned earlier, big growth areas where you have very clear positive prospects of employment, for example, intellectual property, mergers and acquisitions, corporate law, human rights, and areas of great interest to students. Those classes can be a lot bigger. So it's important to say in those classes, there wouldn't necessarily be the same, small group with a lot of interaction. But even there, we have developed very good strategies to include student presentations, assessment methods, which allow for students to work in smaller groups. So whilst there is a great range of sizes in the class, even in the larger classes, the approach is personal and student focused.
That's a lot in this one. We have a question actually about the Llm money. So from Elida, she said that to be able to get the Llm money scholarship, do we have to be enrolled in a master program already? I am also not a senior student. I have graduated in 2020. So there are different questions here. So first of all, if you want to apply for Llm money to start in September 2021, you should have applied already a few months ago. So now if you want to apply for Llm money, you have to think ahead for 2022. However, if there are students that they have applied already for Llm money, but they may still not apply for a university. I think that they still have a little bit of room to apply for the university. So the process is, first of all, you apply for the Llm money, and then to be awarded the Llm money, you have to have an offer for, I think, from 2 different universities, and one of them has to be Trinity. But in your case, it looks like you need to look ahead for the next year. And another recommendation as well, and that's in terms of the application, and probably Kaylee can help me with that as well, is that you're required to have a good GPA. When we talk about Turkey, it will depend on the year that you graduate, it will depend on the university, but definitely to be in the safe side, you should be at least 3.0, 3.1 out of 4 GPA. And another thing as well, it will be to apply soon. So the application process opens in October, November every year. And then many of the programs, they still open till June in general, but many of them, they close earlier. The point is that if you're a good student, apply soon, because we assess applications on a rolling basis. So basically, if you have 3.4, 3.5, and you apply in November from a good university, you may have a good chance to get a place. But if you are a superb student, but you apply in June, it may be too late, because these courses, particularly the LLM, they're really highly demanded, and they may be filled up. So apply early will be one of the questions. And then in terms of experience, I don't know, Kelly, if there is any particular requirement for some of the LLMs that you require to have some working experience, or they can apply to all of them straight away after finishing the degree?
Hi, thanks a million, Antonio. So we're mostly concerned with your academic performances in your application. So when you're applying, you're invited to submit your academic transcripts, 2 academic references, and also a CV. There's also a space for a personal statement to be included within the application form. So while professional experience is not essential, it's nice for us to get a whole picture of the application when we are reviewing it. But certainly you can apply just with your academic experience, and you can apply in your final year of your studies. You don't have to have graduated by the time that you are applying. We just ask that you provide all the academic transcripts that you have at the time that you are applying, so we can make a conditional offer. Likewise, just to say that you can apply without your English language proficiency test. So if you want to apply, you haven't yet taken your IELTS or whichever exam you want to take, we can again review your application, and if we deem it to be suitable, we'll provide a conditional offer to you.
Thank you very much, Kelly.
Explanation, Kelly. Antonio, we have a lot of questions in the questions box, so can you see those questions?
No, actually, because I was in the chat and I didn't see the questions. Where is the...
See, there's a chat box and questions box next to it.
I was in the wrong, because there were also people writing in the other one. Look, sorry about that. So we'll try to go very quick because we have a pile of them that we didn't see. So, do you accept credit transfer from a Turkish university? Thank you. I don't think that's the case, Kelly, isn't it?
No, so you would have to take the entire LLM program and all the related credits within the 1 year. So that would be 6 modules and then the research dissertation.
Can I get into law school with a 3.2 GPA? We already answered this one. So basically, it depends on the university, depends on the year, depending on many things. But usually 3.2 is pretty safe. So the main thing, if you have 3.2, is make sure that you apply the sooner the better. But it's a good, generally speaking, it's a good GPA, but we need to see the details. Another one is, which programs are the most advantageous for international students who want to have a career in Ireland? I leave the floor to Professor Desmond and Kelly because they will know more about that.
Well, perhaps if I could come in there, please, Antonio, just to say, really the merits of our programs are that they each have their distinct advantages in their own different ways. So when you say international students who want to have a career in Ireland, really what that's going to come down to is the particular skill set you bring from your program. I would not say that any one program gives you, any sort of marked advantage. But obviously, I think the key thing, going back to my earlier remarks about the career development whilst you are an LLM student at Trinity, working out, choices that you'll make about your elective modules or perhaps your dissertation will be choices that you can take to try to shape the direction of your career. And you can do that within any of the 5 programs that I've outlined. Now, clearly, if your focus is on IP and you would like maybe to forge a career in Ireland working in an intellectual property context, say in a large tech company, then that would point towards the LLM in IP and IT. But it's not to say that that is the only path you could take. So really, there are 5 fantastic options, and I wouldn't say that any one is better than the other. It really depends on the individual.
And as Professor Desmond was saying in the presentation, we have a fantastic career service in Trinity that, if I remember right, like 4 years ago, was the second best one in Europe or something like that. And we always recommend the students to engage with the career service from the very beginning. Don't leave it till the end. So the opportunities are there. So as I say, the economy in Ireland is doing fantastically. We already have most of the headquarters of these big multinationals, but even more they are coming because companies that they were in the UK before, they want to be in Ireland now as the only English-speaking country or the main one in the European Union. But it's also up to you to be clever and what you like to do as well, what type of legal professional you want to become. So if you do your own homework and you also connect from the very beginning with the career service, they can guide you how to make sure that by the time that you graduate in your LLM or your Master in Law and Finance, you will be ready to get the job that you want in Ireland, if this is your objective. The opportunities are there. The visa is there as well, so the 2 years to look for a job, and then we put all the resources for you to make to have the pathway and to push a little bit and to get it. We have here another one. When are the law application deadline, Kaylee?
Yes, so as stated in the presentation, the final deadline is the 31st of May, but we do encourage early application. We've never had to close our program application early, but we always have to just check to make sure that numbers are within our control so that we can ensure we deliver a good program to the number of students who are applying. So we do encourage early application and not to leave it until the last minute. We review applications on a rolling basis. So the law school reviews applications generally within 1 week of full completion. So that's all the documentation has been submitted, and then our admissions team conduct their review. So you will hear shortly after you apply.
Faiza is asking if can we work during law school? That's a very interesting question. Yes, you can work during the law school, and you can work during any program that you do in Ireland, actually, because one of the regulations for immigration is if you are a student full-time in an Irish university, you can work up to 20 hours during the academic year, and you can work full-time during the summer and other holidays. That's actually an important help. It wouldn't be enough to pay all the fees and to pay everything, but it can be a good help. The last time I checked, the minimum salary in Ireland was the second highest in Europe. The first one, I believe it was Luxembourg. So if you come to Ireland, you get whatever you do. If you work in a shop or you work in a restaurant, a minimum of 10 euro per hour, which 20 hours a week, if you work for a little while, that can definitely help you with your finances. Another question, if I have a different bachelor degree, can I apply for LLM? I think the presentation Professor Desmond Ryan was mentioning about that. So usually you are required a law degree, but there are some other degrees that they have a legal element, they may be able to apply as well. How does it work?
Yes, thanks, Antonio. So just to clarify, the admissions committee will look closely at the degree, the components of that degree, to ascertain whether or not the student has demonstrated a sufficient coverage of a law element of the degree. So, the general position is that it is a law degree that is required, but if there's a degree with a strong element of law or a degree that is a cognate law discipline in very exceptional circumstances, it will be looked at, and certainly the admissions committee will consider that on a case-by-case basis.
Fantastic. And now a question about undergraduate programs, actually. So the essay want to know if it's compulsory a foundation year for a bachelor degree in Trinity. It depends. So if you do an international curriculum, like IB, International Baccalaureate, you can apply directly to the Trinity programs. But actually today I have some other news, and is that while if you do the Turkish diploma, traditionally you have to do the foundation year, now you have two options. I need to say that the foundation year in Trinity, we are the only university in Ireland that we have our own foundation program. So we don't have a third party. So you will become a Trinity student from the really very beginning. So you have to be a very good student to be admitted, because all of them, 90% of all of them, they go into first year without further application or anything like that. But saying that, now we may look at specific students with really high marks from a particular school. They may have the opportunity to come directly with a Turkish diploma without doing the foundation. But in such a case, what you need to do is to contact me, and I will check your transcript, and I will advise you what is more suitable for you, the foundation, or if you have an opportunity to apply directly. Another question is about the GPA for our LLMs. If you have 2.5 or lower, I'm afraid, but 2.5 will be a little bit too low for our programs. I mean, if you have an exceptional career afterwards, you have done 20 years of experience, and you have done other masters or something, we may look at it. But in principle, if you just finish with 2.5, it will be very complicated that you get an offer from not for law, from any program in Trinity. What is the minimum GPA? I think that we have already answered that question, and I believe that we have reached the end of the questionnaire of all the questions. Thank you so much to all of you. Zeynep, one quick question in terms of housekeeping. The chat that I was before replying, this is accessible to all the students, no? To all the attendees.
Yes.
Okay. So then to all of you, I'm going to leave there again the email of the law school, my email, and also a registration link. So if you want to be informed about scholarship opportunities in Trinity, when the application process opens, and so on, you don't want to miss a thing, fill up the registration so you are in the system, and we will let you know accordingly with the year that you are aiming to study abroad. And then if you have any general question about Trinity, I will be the person to look after your queries. And if you have anything to do with the LLM programs, Kaylee will be more than happy as well to follow up with you. So just check, and you have, as I say, all these 2 emails, and you have the registration link there. So make sure that you take a picture of them, or just keep them in a Word document. I think, Zeynep, that's everything from our side. So Kaylee McBee, Professor Desmond Ryan, and myself, we want to say thanks to all of you, and thank you for IEFT for the organization of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Antonio, Desmond, and Kelly, for your great presentation, and you covered all of the questions. We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Trinity College Dublin ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Antonio'nun paylaşmış olduğu mail adreslerinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda sizi altıdaki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you again, you guys. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Teşekkürler.
Take care. Bye-bye.